Welcome to Stand. I'm your host, Kelly Tshibaka, and this is where we help make courage contagious. I'm joined today by my amazing co-host and husband, Nikki Tshibaka, and we have an outstanding episode for you. You can catch all of our episodes on our website, standshow.org. Become one of our subscribers, our standouts, and join us on social media. Today, we are excited to have the Attorney General of the state of Alaska, Treg Taylor, join us. Treg, thank you so much for joining us on our show. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Nikki, for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Nothing going on in the state of Alaska right now. So it's an amazing time to be in the position, I find myself in a fortunate position to be in a position that I can help the state of Alaska. And so it's a great time to be the Attorney General.
We know that you are joining us from Juneau today, so we appreciate you calling in. Tell us a little bit about your background story and how you came to become our Attorney General.
Yeah, no, as a kid growing up, ever since I can remember, I wanted to be a fighter. That was my goal. That was my dream. And I worked really hard for that, actually. And I grew up primarily in a single parent home. My mother was raising 4 kids and teaching full time. And so I had a lot of free time on my hand. I could have made a lot of different decisions, but I had that goal that I wanted to go to the United States Air Force Academy and be a fighter pilot. And so that kept me out of trouble for the most part. I think that goal was key, I think, in my ability to move forward and not fall for some of the pitfalls that certainly were around me. And it led me to want to be excellent in academics and to get the grades that I could be accepted to the Air Force Academy. And so I was living the dream, and lo and behold, I get accepted to the Air Force Academy. And it was one of the best days of my life. I love the academy. I spent 2 years at the academy before. They had a deal sort of with churches that if you're going to serve a mission, they wanted you to wait until after your second year, because your first year is you're not even human. They beat on you. It's not great. It's not it's fun to look back on, was not fun to go through. And then your second year is your hardest academically. So they wanted you to get through those 2 years before you left for mission. So I applied for a mission at the end of the 2 years and was sent to the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Morocco and African coast. And spent 2 years there and reapplied to get back. You have to reapply while you're on your mission because that's the timelines for the academy, but reapplied and got back in, and they sent me a letter. And I apologize ahead of time. I had a hard time getting through this story, but sent me a letter. All I had to do, sign my name, send it back in, and I was going to be a junior at the United States Air Force Academy. I was living my dream. I was pilot qualified physically, and one of the very few pilot qualified physically in my class, because the DoD had come down and said, hey, if you've had LASIX, you're not going to fly for the Air Force. And of course, half my classmates had LASIX just to fly. And so, but I got that paper and I had the hardest time trying to sign that. I tried to sign that thing so hard for about 2 weeks. And I felt bad because here I am. I'm a missionary. I'm supposed to be serving the people of the Canary Islands, and I can't get my mind off of this paper that I would love to sign. And so I did all the tricks, like the positives and negatives for returning. Actually, the only positive I could think of not returning is I could marry a girl I've been dating for many years, right? And that was the only thing I could put in a positive. And despite all that, after about two weeks of not being able to sleep, not being able to focus, I'd had enough. And I finally dropped to my knees and really flippantly, and I feel bad about it now, but really flippantly, I said, fine, I'll do what you want me to do. And I knew exactly what I was supposed to do at that time. And so it really changed the course of my life. And I apologize again, but literally one of the biggest decisions of my life. And I'm so glad that I listened. Because I've been able to do so much good as an attorney. And oddly enough, I got back from my mission. I enrolled at college, and I met my wife the first week, not the girl I've been dating for several years. So God has a plan, and that's what I learned. And I know that if I follow that plan, I'm going to be in the right place to do the right things. And so I feel very fortunate to be in this position. Like that was part of his plan for me. And my legal career, I started out in litigation. I did 5 years of litigation in Anchorage. We came up. My wife's from Anchorage, so we came up right after law school, and so I started that 5 years of litigation at a firm called Lewis and Moran, Garrity and Zobel. Michael Garrity, who happened to be an attorney general before me, was my supervisor. And then I decided I'd go in-house because I really wanted to be part of a team. I grew up playing team sports. I wanted to help grow a business, help a business solve problems instead of just kind of be a hired hitman. And so I went over to McKinley Capital. That was Bob Gillum's shop, and he was a great boss, a great mentor, and spent 5 years there before going over to SRC in the oil and gas division, because I knew if I was going to stay in Alaska and make law career, I'd eventually have to get into the oil and gas and energy arena. And so it was there that the governor reached out and asked me if I'd apply for the position of the attorney general. And so I did. It wasn't something that I'd ever really thought of before. I knew, Mike had gone on to become the attorney general, so I kind of had that relationship with the position. And then when it came down to it, I did not get the attorney general spot. I remember thinking, okay, and they offered me to be the deputy over the civil division. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this to the deputy over the civil division. I'm not going to do this trying to, work my way into the attorney general spot. So that's what I did. I accepted the position as deputy attorney general, and then 2 years later, I ended up being in this position as attorney general. And I feel very fortunate because I've been an attorney general 4 years, almost corresponding to the Biden administration, which has been a whirlwind, to say the least. So that's how I ended up where I am, and glad to make Alaska my home. I know when we were thinking about where we wanted to go after law school, Jody was the first thing she said to me was anywhere but Alaska. It's like, what? We'd come up and work in the summers. I'd fallen in love with the state, and she's like, well, I've lived there my whole life. I want to see something different. But again, through divine intervention, we came to realize that Alaska is where we were supposed to be. That's where we were supposed to raise our family, our 6 children, and it's been a great blessing to be here in the state.
It's an amazing story, and I really appreciate your vulnerability and your transparency, because it's those pivotal decisions in our lives that are the most emotional and profound and transformational. And we could hear that in your voice, but also in the story itself, just the weight of that. I have fond memories of the Canary Islands. I traveled there as a child and vacationed there with my parents, and it's a beautiful place. So awesome to hear that you're on mission over there. I'd like to.
When I made that decision, not sign and to go elsewhere, that it was like a massive weight lifted off my shoulder, and it was really cool because that afternoon, the Spanish Air Force, they have a base there on the Canary Islands, but I never saw any of the aircraft fly. They're always grounded. And that afternoon, I kid you not, 2 MiGs took off from that base and right over us as we were working, and that had that return of that feeling where I had made the right decision. That burden had been lifted from me, and it turned out there was somebody had bought a Russian sub, and we're going to use it as a tourist attraction, but didn't bother to tell the governor of Spain that they were going to bring that sub into their port. So that's why those 2 MiGs scrambled. So really happenstance, but another just a reaffirmation that I was doing what God wanted to do.
That's incredible, and so thankful for your service. And wow, it's one of those, I call it the pressure cooker moments where you just feel there's this almost like holy discomfort where you're just like, something's not quite right. I've got to make a decision either way. And then once you make it and it's the right decision, that pressure just kind of fizzles, and you just feel this complete peace, and you're headed in the right direction. So that's amazing. Wow.
We're coming close up to a break, but Treg, I would like for you to tee up for us what some of your greatest wins are as Attorney General. What have you taken the most satisfaction in?
Yeah, and if we tee those up, maybe you can list a few of them, and we can, on the other side of the break, we can go deeper into them.
Let's talk about COVID litigation. Let's talk about saving the cruise ship season. Statehood defense has been a fabulous thing that we've done. And then obviously we've had that recent litigation over the correspondence schools. So those are some big ones that I'm proud of, I think, because, and mostly because of the amount of people that are affected for good in getting those points. And so, yeah, I'd love to talk more about those.
That'd be great. So we're coming up on this break, so stay with us on the other side. I think it's really important. A lot of people don't really keep up with how much the law and litigation and even just how much a strong letter from an attorney general can affect the course of our daily lives. And if you've never heard of Treg Taylor before, he is very much all up in your business, defending and advocating and protecting us as Alaskans, and even signing on to litigation across the United States that affects what's happening in other states. And so we definitely want to tune in and hear about what you're doing, Treg, and find out all that's going on, because the Attorney General has a huge impact on the rights, the civil rights, and even our pocketbooks here in Alaska and across the United States. So this is Stand. You're with Kelly and Nikki Tshibaka on Stand. We're at standshow.org. We're with Treg Taylor, the Attorney General for the state of Alaska, and he has been for several years. I had the honor of working with him when I was Commissioner for Administration in the Governor's Cabinet. We'll pick up just on the other side of the break. Stand by. The Emerald is Alaska's first multi-level senior activity program made specifically for elder Alaskans and those with physical disabilities. It's located in Midtown Anchorage, and the facility offers unprecedented views of downtown Anchorage and the inlet from a newly renovated building. The goal is to encourage a spirit of independence and foster community integration. Experience a new senior care program built by Alaskans for Alaskans. Call Julie today at 907-830-8212.